I cannot lie, this is rather emotional. I have made it to All Grown Up, the final episode of Arthur. I've spent the last few months binge watching every single episode of Arthur, and it's a show that I grew up with and absolutely loved it. And I started to watch it for the nostalgia, but then I kept watching it because I actually really enjoyed it. It's like a big comfort blanket. It's warm, it's fuzzy, it's easy to watch, it's emotional at times. And I have to say, it is a bit emotional getting to this final episode. I have actually previously discussed this episode, and I will unlist that video and put it as a link in the description. But I haven't gone back to see what I thought of it. Not yet. I wanted to look at this from afresh and see what I thought of it, having just watched 25 seasons of Arthur over a couple of months. And the verdict is, it's a good episode. There are things in it that I think work very well, but I feel like when we get to see what they were in the future, or what they would become in the future, a couple of key characters were missing out. And I probably didn't pick up on this when I watched it originally, but having now binge watched it, and there are characters that I really love, like Ladonna, and I'd love to know what they're up to in the future, and just too many characters were missing. And I feel like they spent too much time setting up. So the narrative is, it has a relatively good structure. Arthur checks out a book from the library, and quite amusingly, it's a book about how to draw animals, and on the first page there's how to draw aardvarks, and Buster remarks that he never knew aardvarks had such long noses. It's a running joke that has gone on since the beginning of Arthur. He doesn't look like an aardvark. How can he be an aardvark? And we then see them in the library. Arthur's going to return this book, and we have a guest appearance of who Arthur talks to in the library. I won't say who it is, but it might be obvious. But it made me smile. I remember it made me smile last time. And they go down into the basement of the library, and they find this old game. It's the Oracle Octopus, or Octopus Oracle, and they play this game, and it's kind of like an aptitude test, and it tells them what they're going to be in the future based on their personality traits. And they get, certain predictions that they don't agree with, but when they're all leaving, some magical, mysterious thing happens, and then they're transported, well, Arthur's transported into the future, and we get to see what the various characters are up to. And I feel like they spent too much time getting to that point, and I appreciate the setup. I think it works quite well, but it could have been a lot quicker. They could have missed out on the whole gameplay. They could have just found this octopus oracle thing, put their hands on it, or pressed the start button, and immediately transported into the future. We didn't need all of that fluff with them getting the scores and the predictions, and then walking away and then transporting. That's a lot of wasted time, and we could have spent that time in the future. What I will say is the characters that we did see and the roles that they went on to adopt, I think the choices were all pretty good. I don't think there's any one person whose future I didn't agree with. I feel like George's was quite random. I won't say what it was, but I feel like, I don't know, that one felt a little bit forced. Binky's I'm not 100% in agreement with, but I'll talk about that with a spoiler warning, and I'll say what I think Binky's should have been. But at the same time, it was not too bad. It was still emotional. It's still really beautiful, especially with Arthur and what Arthur went on to do and create. That was moving, and it really tied everything together so perfectly in a loop. And the final few seconds of this just brought everything back to the beginning, and it worked so well. So it's not a perfect episode. I think I might have been more positive about it the first time when I discussed this, but now that I have, a lot more knowledge of what the show can do, and what characters mean more to me, and indeed a better memory of what the characters are like, I feel like there are things that could have been done differently. But ultimately, it's a beautiful ending. Really is a beautiful ending. Having said that, the one that was meant to be the final, the episode in, I think, season 19, where it's their final day of third grade, that's a beautiful episode. That is a gorgeous episode. And I feel like that should have been the penultimate episode. Obviously, they thought that was going to be the final episode, so fair enough. But if they could somehow have made that the penultimate segment in this final episode, and then made this the final episode as a package episode, this episode would have just been beautiful. But okay, spoilers from now. I'm just going to share a few thoughts on specific characters, what they went on to do, and things that I really appreciate, and things that I think could have been done differently. Muffy, absolutely where I think she was going to be. Francine, loved her style, definitely worked very well. George, as I said, I don't disagree with it. It just feels, I don't know, I feel like it would have made more sense if he went on to do something with puppets, maybe running a children's theatre. That would have made a bit more sense to me. Arthur, as I've mentioned, absolutely perfect decision. DW, perfect choice. Bud, now when she said, Bud, what are you doing back? I thought, are we going back to the episode where they had to leave and they actually did leave and all of the episodes in between that never happened? Or has he just gone off to, college or something? So with a pinch of salt, that one. Binky, I feel like Binky should have been in an orchestra. He should have been doing something with music because that's something he's brilliant at. We did have that episode where he auditioned for a commercial and the episode where he played a P. So I can kind of see why his would make sense, but it wouldn't have been my decision. Buster should have done something with food, but at the same time, being a teacher, it's one of those surprising things that actually fit quite well when you think about it. He's got a vivid imagination and a great spirit and a great personality. He's friendly and approachable. He really suits the role of a teacher, but I still feel like neglecting the food aspect. Maybe he could have been a home economics teacher. That would have made a little bit more sense. But I'm not that bothered about it. But the brain, Fern, Sue Ellen, LaDonna, I feel like there are so many gaps that I feel like we needed more information about. So I don't know. If you have any thoughts on what you think characters should have been, either characters that appear in this or the ones that don't, please feel free to share that information. We also find out that Kate is in Buster's class, which I thought was really sweet and a nice way of kind of bringing everything around. Yeah, I liked it. I did. I'm going to go back and listen to my original thoughts now and see how much they've changed. This has been an amazing journey. I still actually have, I think, a couple of Arthur specials to watch and the postcards from Buster episodes still. So it's not completely gone out of my life, but I have spent a considerable amount of time watching the show, and it's been an absolutely beautiful journey. And all things considered, All Grown Up is certainly a really, really beautiful ending.